And then it really took a turn with the business side of things, particularly when I realized that people don't buy with money. They buy with emotion. And that completely revolutionized how I do everything.
Hi, and welcome to the Your Story Studios podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things content creation. And today on the show, I'm joined by Dan, and today we are talking about the business side of being a creative entrepreneur. Daniel, tell me about it.
Well, I guess I always knew that I was going to start something for myself. I think I've always had that drive to do something, something creative, something, I've just been doing it for all my life. I've worked for a lot of different people, helping them with their sort of creative passions and their businesses. But then I think the thing was that I never had the sense of it being mine. And, there's always something I wanted to do my way or whatever. And not to say that it didn't work for the way they did it. It was more just that I wanted to find myself and do it the way that I knew that I could do it. It took a bit of experimenting to find the right model, I think. When I was pretty young, maybe around 20, I started a business with a friend called Osmix Entertainment. It was a DJ sort of events business, and we did all right for a little while, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, I think. And in the end, still good friends. But
good.
Yes, yeah. But I think the person as well I was partnered with, moved in state, and a few things happened that made it a bit harder as well. So we ended up sort of terminating that. But I think he still runs it. But anyway, I think so that was a starting point of how do I even run a business? Because it's very different from, working for somebody, and even just, like setting up an ABN and, all the other things you got to have. So like a website, social media presence, and finding your own clients, and all of that is, can be pretty scary stuff, particularly if you don't have them. So that was a learning curve for sure. And it took a bunch of, experimental failures, I guess, to find the right one that worked for me, which ended up as Stampede Immersive.
Yeah. So before you got there, you worked for a few other people. How did you get your foot in the door to be in those roles initially?
Well, I think I started working with a company called Fedora Productions, Nigel, who gave me a real big shot when I was 17. So, and I came up in bands and playing shows and stuff, and like he engineered my band one time. I loved the monitor mix he gave me. So I was like, I'll give him a call and see if he's got any work experience. Called him up and he's just like, yeah, just come down and I've got one next week or whatever. Rocked up. I think it was the Hi-Fi Bar or something like that where I met him. But
iconic location.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. It was for the Emergenza Festival. So it was a big, sort of competition. We didn't place, but it's okay. We had a lot of fun, and I made this amazing connection. So me and Nige, we've been friends now for, 15 years or more, and I've been working with him ever since. But yeah, that was a huge eye-opening start to live entertainment and all the other stuff that we've talked about in the previous episodes, with lighting, live DJing, photo booths, and stage management, and all this sort of stuff, which gave me a real big, eye-opening, introduction to what it could be. Then when I started that business, it was really me going, well, I feel like I have something to offer that, we don't normally do at that place. And it's just, fulfilling the next thing. It was never to stop. It was more just to do something else on my own as well. But I think when it really got like a make or break, I had to do something for myself, was when I realized that no one thing was ever filling me up the way I wanted. And
you need the variety.
Yeah, I had to build something that allowed me to, swap and change as I needed. I'm ADHD, so I have a lot of passions and a lot of things that I'm pretty good at, but at the same time, doing the same thing every single day just never really worked for me. I had a lot of struggle with a lot of other normal jobs, I guess. When I say normal jobs, I mean office work or working at a warehouse or different things like that just sort of didn't work for the way my brain is wired, I guess. So when I started the studio, it was sort of alongside working at the warehouse, and it was me trying to build something for myself again, doing films and getting into all of that. But then when I took the big leap, leaving the warehouse and swapping it for the studio, that was a make or break moment. And sometimes, it was very, very difficult to see if I could do that. Like, it felt like, what if this fails?
Because you got a family as well.
I do, yeah. At the time I had 2 children as well. So it was, and now I have more, but it was very scary because it really had to work. But I realized something that changed everything. When you have things diverted into like 2 piles, you're only ever giving 50% to each at a time. And for something to succeed, you really need to give it 100. So nothing was working because I was spread out too much. So I think the thing was, when I finally made the jump to put everything into the studio, because I had to, it had to work. It did. That's when it did, when I could give it everything. So that was something I learned, that whatever I'm doing, I'll go hard, and that's what it takes. I can't just do a little bit of something and expect it to work like I'm putting everything in. So that was the lesson I learned, that go hard or go home, I guess.
And now you've gone hard and you now need clients. How do you get your clients?
Well, that was it was a long time before that, I think, that I was starting to build that up, because I wouldn't have jumped if I didn't already have some sort of
safety net.
Yeah, something to go, okay, this might work because I'm already sort of set up for it. So I did wait, and there was that period of working a full-time job and doing that and it was like double the work, way harder. And that really hurt for a bit, because you'd be never sleeping much. And
it's not forever.
That's right. Yeah, it's right. But I think a lot of people are probably in that stage, and it can last for a long time, where you feel like you're trying to build your thing, but you still got to pay the bills in the meantime. And it's at what point do you swap over? And it's a scary jump. And I think that was the thing. I just had to realize, if I'm ever going to do this, I just got to do it. I ripped the Band-Aid off, and but it was a calculated risk, though. That was the thing. I didn't just jump in the deep end. And I think that's what helped me actually get to where I am, because I took the steps over time to make sure it was going to work. And then when I needed it to, I put everything into it, and that's when, of course, it worked.
Great.
Yeah.
And let's get some tips for our audience right now. Websites and social media. What's your experience?
Okay. So I think when I was first starting out, I knew I needed a website or something, just to put up some show reels or some content to show what I do, and
just to let people know you exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have some form of social media in these days, like it's in this day and age, it's pretty much like you don't exist if you don't have social media now.
Yeah, there's only so much word of mouth can do. Having a social media platform is very helpful.
Absolutely. And I found out kind of the hard way, I guess. For the first little bit, I didn't really have much of a presence. And it was just, me as Dan posting stuff. And it looked kind of like just a guy, and I was like, well, how am I ever going to be taken seriously? I need, it's not to hide behind a name, but essentially, if I have something that is bigger than me and is a structure that I can use to prop myself up, I suppose, then that will attract a different mindset, I think. So it wasn't about being something I wasn't, or hiding behind something. It was more about, I want this to work, and what do people take seriously? What do people care about? They only put their trust into the things that they think will work. And if I'm just Joe Blow, maybe that's a bit of a risk for them. So how do I prove that I am trustworthy? How do I prove that I am going to be able to do this and fix their problem, which is ultimately what we do as, business people or, service providers. We're here to fix a problem. And then it really took a turn with the business side of things, particularly when I realized that people don't buy with money. They buy with emotion. And that completely revolutionized how I do everything. So my website was enhanced. I use Wix, by the way. And that's you can do it for free. But the thing is, obviously you can get a domain name and all of that stuff. But I just liked it because it was open. it's open format. You can kind of do anything. There's great templates on there. And I'm not like advertising for Wix right now, but
You don't have a promo code?
no, but I do love it. I think it was really, really helpful and allowed me to be really creative as well, just because it's got so much on it. So it worked out really well for me. But like there's heaps of good ones though. Like you don't have to do that. Like there's a million different ones. But
Yeah, I use Squarespace.
yeah,
Not
that's
sponsored.
great. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, that was how I started. But then the social media thing was, I guess, a long drawn out process of networking. And when Instagram became more of a thing, it kind of overtook Facebook. That was more of a better launch pad, I think, because it's more targeting like mass growth than Facebook is. It's more of a personal thing. And even though you have pages and whatnot, I found that Instagram has worked far better than Facebook has. And then when TikTok happened, it was like, that's huge. That's very much at fast pace, quick, growth. And, I've some of my biggest, view counts on videos have been on TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't really used TikTok. Tell me more about TikTok.
Well, TikTok, I mean, I think it's different from Facebook and Instagram, which are obviously both owned by Meta, because its algorithm is designed at very quick, fast-paced content. And so some people could see that as a bad thing, but as a business person or, as a business, that's extremely helpful because it spreads out so wide to so many different people. And if you get on the sort of good side of it, it can be extremely helpful. So I find that I'll post the same stuff to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube and just see which one performs better. TikTok always wins. It's just designed to do that.
With that said, it wins because you get more views, you get more comments, you get more subscribers.
All of it. I think it's easier as well because its editor on it is better than the others. I think that's why I like it the most as well. It's just easy. I find sometimes I make content on like my phone and I'll post it to TikTok and then I'll download that and open it to Instagram because it's got more editing tools. I don't need to go into DaVinci Resolve. I can just do it all here.
Yeah.
And it's so much faster and easier. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's not the right tool for the job. But typically when you've got to stay relevant and, keep up in the industry, it's a good way to just quickly put something out. And I use that quite often.
Yeah. So have you found that TikTok converts to actually giving you paid clients? Have you had that experience?
So that's an interesting one a lot of people have asked me about. So I sort of see social media a little bit differently maybe to most. So I was talking about trust before and people don't buy with money. I mean, of course they do, but they buy based on worth or perceived value. So if somebody's going to invest in something, that is like directly relevant to how much value they see in it. Like, for example, if you really want to buy a drum kit and it's like your favorite thing of all time, you will make sure that you're putting money away for that drum kit and you'll make it happen at any cost, right? Versus something that you perceive as less value or maybe is easier to get, you could put off potentially because it doesn't give you the same feeling of, I really want that. So it's less of a priority. And that's just, things we don't want to do and things we don't want to do. So I think that's potentially what it is. But then if you apply that to a business or a service, how much can you fix their problem? How much can they invest that trust into you? And that's done with like personality, or if they vibe with you, if you feel authentic to them, they're going to go with that more than if you can do the job, because there's a million people that can do the job,
and probably cheaper as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always
They're buying
someone that
you.
will do it for cheaper.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
more expensive.
Well, that's true. That's true. And it's not necessarily about, in my experience, it's not necessarily about how much it is. It's how much value is it? And will they have a good experience working with you? And you know what I mean? That's kind of the actual currency. It's they're buying you, not your craft.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought, again, back to the website and all of this other stuff. That's what I was really amped up on, trying to make sure that came across. All of those things, all the different things that I do to become sort of a respected,
Trustworthy.
yeah, but there's a sort of effort that needs to be put in to prove it, because anyone can say anything on the internet. So it's sort of like, what can I do to show people that I'm for real and I want to actually help them, and I'm going to go above and beyond, and I'm going to make sure that they get that good experience. And I've failed a lot of times. There's been unhappy clients. There's been people that I just didn't gel with in the end. It's going to happen, and it's sort of, you're going to have to bit of a thick skin, in business, because there are people that sometimes want to take advantage of you as well. I don't want to just talk about the negative stuff, but that does happen as well. So you kind of got to have a bit of a thick skin to get through that. But I guess that's kind of back to why you have to choose something that you really, really love, because only then will you still stick it out, because that love is more important than whatever failure you went through. If you don't love it, then you'll quit at the first sign of trouble, because why would you do something that is horrible and not working? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say you love TikTok?
No, but actually I should get back to that. The reason why I see it differently is because I see social media as a means to show my personality and build that trust more than make sales. It's not the place necessarily to make sales. Although it's not the first place people go to find service providers. Something like LinkedIn might be, or on the website, that they're there to shop, so that makes sense. But on social media, they don't want to be bombarded with sales. They don't want to watch a video that's selling something to them. People are smart. So I find that the best content is something that will make them go, hey, that's really cool. That's really enjoyable, or really informative.
Yeah, you give them value.
Exactly.
For free.
Exactly right.
And then they trust you.
Yep.
And then when they need someone to
They think of you first.
You're top of mind.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's what I use social media for. It's not designed to go, hey, buy this necessarily. And sometimes you do, but I think the majority of my content is more, I'm doing this today. What do you guys think of this cool thing? And it's just showing something that is interesting that they may not have seen that day.
Which is relevant to your industry.
Of course, yeah. And because there's so many different things that I do, it's sort of different every time. So it'll be something in the studio, film premiere, or it's, anything, events, I'm DJing.
Wow, Dan's everywhere doing everything. I really got to contact him.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it seems to work. I think it's not inauthentic. I think it's, that is kind of my life. But at the same time, it's sort of edited to be what I want to show in the context of, this is where I excel. This is the stuff that I love doing. And if that aligns with you guys, we might just be a cool fit. And that's, because again, there might be people that just see my content and go, I don't really vibe with that. That's totally fine.
Because there's someone else that they'll vibe with.
Exactly. And I want them to have that person then. If I'm not a good fit, there's kind of no point me being sour about that. Because, there's going to be someone who's right for me. And someone who is not fully invested in it, or not fully, wanting to do the best they can with something, they're not going to put everything into it. They're not going to, it's not going to be enjoyable for either of us. So I like to work with people that are energized about what they're doing and what we're doing. And that's when it works, the best, because everyone's got the best intentions, and that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, great. So we're talking about the business side of being a creative entrepreneur. One of the biggest, hurdles for a creative entrepreneur is knowing how much they're worth and pricing. Tell me about how you've come to your pricing model and figuring out how much you're worth for your clients.
I think it's really difficult to say with any certainty. There's no one number. There's no, it's sort of just, it's what people are willing to pay. That is the answer.
And every project is different.
Completely. Mm-hmm. And usually I like to have, there's certain minimums that, to even make it worth it for the job. Otherwise I'm losing money, things like that.
Bad business practice.
Yeah. But at the same time, I like to be able to work to a budget. I sort of have a minimum level of quality that I like to put out though too. So it's kind of like, well, if I do something that is less than a certain amount, then I'm incapable of providing the value that I set out to provide. And then that makes
hurts your brand.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that I'm not willing to do. So I would rather help them in another way, or put them on a path of finding someone else if that is better for them.
Do
But
you find yourself referring jobs like that onto other people, or have you come up with a policy of just, I'm sorry, I can't work with you, all the best?
there's yet to be a time where I haven't been able to help them in some form. And that's like, I'm pretty proud of that. So I think that could be somebody has a project with quite a low budget, and that's okay. And instead of me saying, look, I can only do the whole thing at a really low quality, there's ways to go, well, we can offer a payment plan, or I'm partnered with Afterpay, or there's also maybe we do the first half and do that really well, like it should be, and then see if you can come up with it later. Or maybe what we can do is change the idea of what the finished thing actually is, and I just clean it up for you, and then you can take it to someone else to do the rest. Whatever it is to help them get something happening, that sort of kickstarts in their mind as well. It sort of makes them go, well, we're already started. It's not such a big hurdle anymore. And that is sort of the inspiration maybe to finish it. So sometimes that can be a thing too. But I do think it's kind of against the industry, or it sort of hurts the industry as a whole. Not just me. It's not really it's not a selfish thing, I don't think. But I would be reluctant to start something I can't finish if I can see that that's going to happen. Then again, there have been times where, I've started something and it didn't work out. And that's going to happen in business too. People just have different things. I usually, try and do like progress payments up to what I've done, so that I avoid being owed or them not feeling like they've got their, what they've paid up to. So we do progress things like that to make up for that. And that's been helpful, but, especially because we're dealing with sometimes large amounts of money for people. $10,000 sounds like a lot of money for a person, but for a project, it's not necessarily that much.
Or a
on
business.
A film, yeah.
It's an investment.
It is. But I mean, that's a lot of money to one person, particularly if they're, only working part-time and just trying to get their film off the ground. That's a lot of money, and I can totally appreciate how hard that could be. It doesn't always align. So I think I've found ways to help them in lots of different ways, not just, the premium service that I want to provide.
Who would you say is your ideal client?
I have a few different spaces that I work in, so it is different depending on, I guess, the department. For an event, I would say an agency who wants to deliver high-end weddings, or like maybe a venue even could do that. Those kind of places tend to be my go-tos because, one, they are offering multiple jobs. It's not just one person's wedding, because then you got to find another one. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a one-to-many thing. So I guess, the best client is the one that can keep coming back. And you want to make sure you can deliver what they need so that your needs are met and their needs are met.
Yeah,
and
repeat business, and then you're not going out marketing all the time. They're coming to you with the job.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. But also, it's hard to find those sometimes, because I found, when you're starting, there's always somebody who's ahead of you, and they already have those jobs, right? So it sort of seems like there's no one who's looking for that. To get over that, I just found that you do one, and then if you smoke that, if you do really good job at that, then they'll go, hey, do you have a business card? So make sure you have business cards on you. And then, so you're kind of forward thinking about what happens when someone wants to book me, but they go, oh, do you have something online? Can I follow you? Really what they're asking is, I think you're awesome, and at some point I might find a way to hire you. If you don't have a presence, or if you don't have an Instagram or whatever, you don't have a way to say yes. But being a yes man has its goods and bads. But I think...
What would you call yourself? Are you a yes man?
I would say I'm a yes man.
Yeah. You say yes to it and then figure it out later? That's future Dan's problem?
Sort of. Well, it's calculated again. But typically, I want to be able to say yes. And what that yes means is, yes, I can help, but I don't know how yet. It requires more conversation, of course. I never want to be in the situation where somebody's asking for something, or even if it's just, hey, how do you do this? I'm trying to do my own thing, or whatever it is. I never want to be in the position where I go, I can't help you at all. It's just not who I am, I think. I want to provide value wherever I can, whether that's for monetary or just for goodwill. there's something I can offer, I'm sure. And I try to be the person that can help them a little bit.
Yeah. And you've discovered recently that a way that you can provide value is through teaching.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So this all came about. A person who's now become a friend has reached out to me a couple of years ago and said, look, at the local council we're building a studio and we need somebody to tell us what to get, help us set it up. And just we don't know anything about it. So she reached out and she'd heard my name because I used to be in the same freezer group from back then. So this is when I was like 16. Freezer is they used to do Battle of the Bands and all these community events in the youth program. She now ran that, and it was actually the same one that I was a part of. I can't name drop it, but I can say that I was a part of that same council. And then so she's reached out saying, we'd love you to come and do it. We've heard so many good things about you, which is beautiful to hear. Everyone wants to hear that. I went in and we made a plan to build this studio, which kind of started with a very sort of modest budget, and we kind of grew it, and it turned into this idea of, Dan, you should be teaching this. So then sort of we partnered up and we kind of became this model of every Tuesday afternoon, we do a program with these young people and teach them about not just how to use the studio, but anything creative. We ended up, I brought in live sound equipment and lighting and cameras and all kinds of things to show them exactly how the industry works as a whole. So that became quite a cool thing. And then after a little while, we had this great idea. It didn't end up working at that facility, but it's turned into something a bit bigger. So not just at the council, but outside of that, I want to now run my own events and start helping more people, not just maybe 10 to 15 in a small room, but a proper event with the same sort of structure and getting young people interested in getting started in all this stuff.
Yeah, great. So to summarize, through this whole process, first it started with you using your network or networking, knowing the right people to work with, then utilizing already the skills that you have in production and audio and all that kind of stuff. And then you are open to pivoting and doing teaching as well. And that's all led you up to where you are today. So all these different business ideas and philosophies have really stacked up and helped you get to where you are right now.
Completely. I think all of those things, I guess I had a little inkling of attachment to just from my own personal Dan. But all of those led me to all the bits of, different parts of business that I love now. And being open to change, I suppose, or where the business was, where it took me, that changed things a lot, I think. But if I wasn't open to that, I mean, so many opportunities may not have, presented themselves. So I think another good tip is wherever it takes you, sort of be open and ready to just grow and see where things take you as well. If you're not seeing the opportunities or if you're not open to them, then you'll miss it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dan, for joining us today and telling us all about the business side of being a creative entrepreneur.
My pleasure. Thank you again for having me.